Hey, how's it going everyone? ZooFit back again, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming PlayStation exclusive Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn. Zero Dawn presented players with a beautiful world filled with creative yet dangerous machines and interesting characters. The beginning of this video will contain some quick spoilers for the first game, so if you haven't experienced the story of the first game, skip ahead to the time on your screen to avoid them. However, there will still likely be some small spoilers throughout the video, so fair warning. In Zero Dawn, our protagonist Aloy was posed with discovering the truth of her origins, as well as saving her world from an extinction event, like the event that caused the destruction of the old world. As Aloy ventured on her journey, she met numerous allies, fought against a machine-corrupting cult, and defeated the rogue extinction AI Hades, or at least she thought she did. At the end of the first game, we see a portion of Hades escape and become secured by a character known as Sylens. What will become of Sylens and HADES in Forbidden West is yet to be seen. In this video, I want to discuss much of what we know about the upcoming sequel Forbidden West, such as what the story will entail, the changes to the game, and why I think you should be excited. While this video will be what I consider a game preview, I may not cover every small aspect that we know about the game. However, I think it will provide you a great summation to decide if you want to pick up the game and play for yourself. So let's learn what you should know about Horizon Forbidden West. So let's start out with the story. Horizon Forbidden West takes place 6 months after the end of the first game, and we'll see Aloy travel west from her homeland to a new frontier setting. The reason for Aloy's journey is to seek out her allies and a solution to the Red Blight, which is a mysterious organism that's destroying the natural world. It kills off plants, animals, tribes, and is also creating a non-stop superstorm. Along the way, Aloy will meet new tribes, including a hostile tribe capable of overriding the machines, as well as dozens of new machines as she searches for a cure for the Red Blight. Aloy has spent the 6-month time period in between games trying to find a cure for this Red Blight. We will see some returning characters such as Aaron, Sylens, Varl, and Gaia. And in one of the trailers we see Aloy attempting to actually rescue Aaron from a hostile tribe. While Aloy must journey to the Forbidden West, it will not be an easy trip. The border to the west is guarded by Karja on Aloy's side of the world, as well as the Tenakth tribe on the other side, but more on them soon. In order to travel west, Aloy has to plan a meeting between the Tenakth tribe and the Karja leadership. However, as reported by IGN, this does not go well at the beginning of the game. It will be interesting to see how Aloy will navigate these new relationships between the tribes. Within the story trailer, Aloy is also warned by Gaia of another group of people seeking answers, and we see sort of a futuristic looking woman on the screen. However, what this entails so far is mostly a mystery. Aloy will also meet a new antagonist named Regala early on in the journey. She is described in the story trailer as a vicious warrior bent on revenge, who will kill anyone who gets in her path. It also says that she answers to a higher power, giving her access to weapons and the ability to override or corrupt the machines. It also pairs this message with an image of Sylens, who, as we know, has contained Hades from the first game to learn the further secrets of the world. The start of the game will begin in the Colorado setting of the original game Zero Dawn. However, the game's director has confirmed that Forbidden West actually stretches from Utah to the Pacific coast, which makes the map a bit bigger than the original game. And while we'll begin in some familiar locations, most of the game takes place in the Forbidden West. Some visible landmarks in the game show post-apocalyptic San Francisco, with the Golden Gate Bridge has been overtaken by the greenery and the lush vegetation, as well as the Palace of Fine Arts being ruined and underwater. And in Forbidden West, underwater exploration is actually going to be a big focus as well. The game's narrative director, Benjamin McCaw, explained that exploration is really the theme. And with these new locations, Forbidden West really wants you to explore the world around you. And it's not enough for us to just show underwater. We wanted to make sure that it's every bit as beautiful as what you see in the natural world above it. But it wasn't just enough that you could swim around underwater, we wanted to do some things that are really surprising and interesting. So guys, it sounds like the world not only above water will be beautiful, but the world of underwater exploration will be beautiful as well, and it's also going to be a much bigger focus in this game. While in the water, Aloy will need to be wary of water-based machines and can use the environment to hide and navigate through the water. Players will also experience underwater currents that they have to fight back against. In Forbidden West, players will also spend more time in settlements in the game. Players will be able to see different NPCs that are supposed to be a lot more realistic and lifelike. The NPCs in the settlements are more time-driven, with work and sleep schedules to improve this realism. Within settlements, players can get new quests, they can visit vendors and use workbenches. but more on those in a bit. Guerrilla is also focusing on improving the side quests that players will experience in Forbidden West. The game is said to feature more interesting side quests with improved rewards for completing them. You'll also have more interaction with other characters on these missions as well. Even side characters are going to play a more prominent role, and you will see repeat characters on different side missions. Instead of just interacting with a character once and they're gone, you will see the same character in a later on side mission that you can interact with and further their story. Forbidden West is said to include more sophisticated side quests than the original. While discussing with Game Informer, the game's director Matthias de Jong said that, quote, "There's a lot more variety in that sense, a more sense of accomplishment that you actually get something cool in return for doing these quests." That was another part where we felt like we had some room for improvement. So you get a cool weapon or you get a cool outfit, something that's really useful for your next quest or activity. The big focus that we wanted to change from the first game to the second is that you get to spend more time with key characters, not just for characters that you meet along the main quest, but also certain side characters. They don't just go away after one quest. And when you complete these side quests, you will actually be rewarded with different weapons for completing them. One example that we will discuss later is the explosive javelin thrower. So it'll be much more of a reward for players to actually explore and venture out and complete different side missions. So here's to hoping that these missions are actually really engaging and interesting to play. So let's discuss the different tribes and enemies that you'll see in Forbidden West. Guerrilla Games is working hard to make the tribes, the machines, and the entire world as immersive and engaging as possible. One of the game's senior writers was quoted as saying this: "The Living World team does a fantastic job, and it's so great to see it all come together. Each tribe starts as a bunch of ideas, then is translated into these amazing settlements, like the Utaru, who were imagined as an agrarian society that's deeply connected to the land around them. Once the tribe is in-game and the Living World team has done their magic, you're walking around the Utaru's fields, interacting with them, and you think, whoa, they nailed it. Now this tribe feels real." The Utaru are more focused on things such as music, crafting, and culture. And due to this red blight, they actually try to sing to heal the land. However, unfortunately for them, it is not seeming to be successful. While the Utaru are a new tribe that Aloy will interact with, she will also interact with the Karja and the Oseram. The Oseram are handy, working people that are skilled in fishing, crafting, and smithing, while the Karja are the more combat or military-based tribe that watch over the terrain outside of the borders of the Oseram city. There's also the Tenakth tribe, which are made up of 3 different civilizations in the game, with each having their own varying customs and makeup. The 3 Tenakth civilizations have been fighting for generations, but now have what is described as a fragile peace to combat Regala and her rebels. They are also more combat focused and are competitive within their own tribes. The trailer discusses rumors of an even stronger tribe, one even stronger than Regala's, and it is said that this tribe resides at the very edge of the West. Could this have something to do with the futuristic looking people that we saw in the story trailer? I'm not totally sure if it does or if it has something to do more with the Hades side of things. When discussing immersion, we should also talk about the AI of the game being very much improved, or at least that's a focus for Guerrilla Games. The machines in the game will have much more varied movement and be better able to adapt to the environment. There's been a focus on making enemies, quote, feel more authentic by improving the fluidity and continuity of motion, like making enemies and companions more capable of traversing rugged terrain. It also appears that jumping and climbing appear to be a bigger focus for machines, so in Forbidden West it's going to be much more difficult to use environmental exploits to get away from your enemies. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of the machines can also swim in the water. While not all of the machines can swim under the water, a lot of the machines can swim on top of the water, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get away from them, that's for sure. And as enemies have this improved movement, the developers are also improving the cues that enemies give off to help the player know when they're about to perform an attack. This should help provide some new balance to this improved movement. Forbidden West will feature both familiar machines as well as dozens of new machines as well. There's a new machine called the Burrower, which is similar to a Watcher but with the ability to dig under the ground. There's also one that we've seen a lot of, which is the Trimmer Tusk, a large elephant or mammoth-like machine with eye lasers and side cannons, and it can also send out an electrical shockwave. The Trimmer Tusk can also be used for mounted combat, and tribe raiders will mount these and fight from its back. However, when these mountees are knocked off the Trimmer Tusk, it will play out differently and become more aggressive. You'll have to use its slow movement to your advantage to take it down. There is also the Clamberjaws, which are monkey-like creatures which climb trees and stay in groups. They like to try and get the high ground to gain an advantage on you, which I think we've seen that somewhere before. There are also the Claw Striders, which are velociraptor-like machines with blade-like teeth. Aloy will be able to mount these machines, but we'll also see hostile tribes which mount them as well. And we have what are called sun wings, which are pterodactyl-like birds. And in one of the trailers, we saw that their wings act like solar panels, allowing them to soak up the sun's rays. Rollerbacks are machines that sort of look like armadillos, rolling along the ground to attack, while also having a hard outer shell to protect it. We've also seen what are called shell snappers, which are large tortoise-like creatures that are shown in the trailer rising out of the water. And there are tide rippers, which are large machines that filter through sediment and is another type of aquatic machine. However, it can attack both underwater and on land. There's also a new machine called the bristleback, which are similar to chargers from the last game. And finally, we have one of the most exciting new machines as well as one of the most terrifying, and that is the Slitherfang, which is a large snake or cobra-like machine. It's able to use its unique movement as well as burrow under the ground when fighting. It can shoot lightning from its tail and has mainly lightning-focused attacks, and it can be fought in the arena, which we'll discuss a little later. Now, this is just some of the new machines, but according to Guerrilla Games' game director, there are, quote, dozens of new machines in addition to the different returning types. And one last thing on machines is that scanning machines has also changed. Instead of having to hover over an enemy ever so slightly while in your focus, you'll be able to use the D-pad to circle through different parts on the machines, and you can actually tag those individual parts as well. So this should make targeting different areas on machines during combat much easier. So let's go ahead and discuss the combat in Forbidden West. Guerrilla Games has made an effort to try and improve the combat in Horizon Forbidden West. According to the game's lead combat designer, quote, "One of the focus points that influenced all our combat decisions was increased player choice, and we applied this to everything: melee, weapons, outfits, skills, and other new mechanics. We wanted to give the players more tools, depth, and dials to play with. The game will also feature a brand new skill tree, with the skill tree from Zero Dawn having been, quote, completely redesigned and repopulated with new skills." During an interview with Game Informer, the game's director Matthias de Jong revealed that players will be able to upgrade Aloy's skills to suit their playstyle. And the game's lead combat designer had this to say: "In Horizon Zero Dawn, skills were bought and unlocked as you leveled up. While that principle remains in the sequel, we completely redesigned the skill tree with additional tracks and skills. Within the skill tree, skills also synergize with those that are already present on outfits or need to be unlocked on them." So guys, it looks like the skill tree is going to be greatly expanded upon compared to the first game, allowing players to better hone in on Aloy's skills to their preferred playstyle. Zero Dawn's skill tree allowed players to focus on the skills in 4 different trees: the Prowler, the Brave, the Forager, and the Traveler trees. However, in Forbidden West, there will be 6 different skill tree options: the Warrior, the Trapper, the Hunter, the Survivor, the Infiltrator, and the Machine Master. And as we mentioned earlier, there will also be workbenches for players to access as well. Workbenches will be used to improve weapons and outfits that Aloy can use. While outfits in Zero Dawn help to provide players with different modifiers and elemental resistances, outfits in Forbidden West will provide players with different abilities. Upgrades to these outfits can provide specific boosts to skills in Aloy's skill tree. Players will be able to utilize workbenches to upgrade their weapons and outfits by unlocking new perks, mod slots, and skills. In Forbidden West, Aloy still has her spear and her bow, both of which were staples in the first game, but she also has some new tools as well. There will also be a new, very exciting addition to combat called Valor Surges, and these have been compared to the Supremos from Far Cry 6. Valor Surges are sort of like these large, charged up attacks or special abilities. We can see an example of a Valor Surge seen in the trailer when Aloy uses her spear on an enemy. In the game, we have only seen one Valor Surge so far, which is the Radial Blast, which is able to knock off armor from human enemies, leaving them vulnerable to further attack. And it appears to also provide some nice damage as well. The game is said to feature a total of 12 Valor Surges that players will be able to utilize in their arsenal, and players will be able to unlock these in the skill tree. However, Guerrilla Games has been very hush-hush about the different types of Valor Surges in the game. It is said that the decision to include these in the game was to try and bring ranged and melee combat closer together. The Valor Surge is dependent on the energy meter to be refilled, and can deliver a devastating blow when used. Within the skill tree, players will need to choose specific abilities that surround a surge on a certain tree, and then unlock those first. It appears to charge by knocking off different machine components or hitting enemy weak points, as well as getting headshots on human enemies. Within the game, mounted combat will be more of a focus. As we've discussed, different hostile tribes will be able to mount different machines, such as the Tremor Tusk, as well as the Claw Striders. The game's lead combat designer had this to say: "When it comes to mounted combat, the player will have to adapt and decide whom to take out first and in what most effective way. Human enemies have weapons, attacks, and abilities that machines don't, and vice versa. So they complement each other in these encounters, keeping you on your toes. And as we heard, when enemies mount machines, it will change the way that they operate. As we've discussed, probably the coolest way or example of this is with the Tremor Tusk. When enemies control the Tremor Tusk, it's more controlled and the human enemies are the main threat, shooting off the top. However, when this mounted part gets knocked off, the Tremor Tusk becomes more chaotic and aggressive. You will also experience new raider enemy types that don't begin by riding the machines, but instead can override them when they see you, so it adds a level of unpredictability to what the enemies might do. The game will also feature new weapons, however, Guerrilla has also been somewhat reserved in showing what's new. In the game, we will once again have Aloy's spear, as well as Hunter, Sharpshot, and War bows. The game will also feature slings, which deal different types of elemental damage. However, there's also a new type of ammo for the slings that sticks to enemies and slows them down. It is also said that the rope caster will return, which is a unique weapon that sort of sticks to the enemy and eventually slows them down and even immobilizes them for a second. There will be the thrown javelin, or the spike thrower, which is a spear that you throw at enemies that explodes after a short period of time. And something known as the Shredder Gauntlet. It is a throwable item that appears to act similar to a boomerang, which was seen in the IGN gameplay video. Other elemental options available that weren't in the first game are acid and plasma. As we mentioned earlier in the video, some weapons will be acquired along the way through main story quests, while others will be attained on side quests. From gameplay video, we can also see that damage location indicators are also now present on human enemy types as well, allowing you to see weak points more clearly and focus on attacking these spots. And when fighting different bandits or groups of enemies, the gameplay is said to be more improved. Not only will there be bandit or group leaders that command the rest of the group, they will also fight more intelligently. And stealth has also been improved in Forbidden West. Zero Dawn's stealth could be lackluster at times during gameplay, but Forbidden West is looking to build upon that framework. Enemies are more aware of their surroundings and changes in the environment, and if they are alerted, they will begin to search more in a group. The game will also feature a line of sight mechanic where enemies can see you and you can also use it to get away when spotted. It also appears you'll be able to use the smoke bomb, which disorients enemies and gives you a chance to get away. Melee combat was also a focus to be improved upon. In Zero Dawn, much of the combat was focused long range, using your bow, using your sling, while melee combat often got pushed to the wayside. You could get up close to perform light and heavy attacks to stun enemies, but other than that, it often felt just too dangerous to attack up close. However, the melee in the game will remain very similar, with Aloy's spear being her only melee weapon, but it's said that it will be more powerful in Forbidden West. There will be a new skill called the Resonator Blast, allowing you to charge up the spear by performing melee attacks. This energy builds up and then transfers into the enemies, allowing you to hit them with a powerful attack. While it should be a challenge to get up close and personal with the machines, Guerrilla is looking to improve the melee system by making it more useful to get up close and fight your enemies. Potions will also return to the game, in which Aloy can create and purchase from different vendors. You can also collect health providing plants in the world once again, but instead of running out of space when you reach your inventory max, the additional will be sent onto your stash, which can be used to refill your on-hand inventory. So it might be worth setting aside some time to go on a little gathering spree to stock up for later. Aloy can also visit other vendors to purchase items. She can visit cooks for skill boosting food, hunters for weapons, herbalists for different potions, and stitchers for different outfits. And Aloy will also want to change outfits throughout the game to fit the different environments and settlements she visits and explores. The game will also feature different challenges, including combat challenges. There will be fighting pits and arenas in the game. In these fighting pits, you can fight different tribes people and work your way up to fighting a boss in these pits. And you will also need to battle machines and defeat them within the arena, given a time limit to gain different rewards. Hunting grounds will once again return to the game, and with salvage contracts you can search for rare machine parts. It is also said that players will be able to explore different ruins, cauldrons, and more. And you can also participate in mounted races across the land against NPC riders. So it seems like Guerrilla Games has given a lot more variety to the different challenges that you'll be able to do, and I know I'm very much looking forward to these fighting pits and the arena. However, I'm not sure I'm so interested in going up against this giant fighting machine snake. Now let's discuss the different movement and exploration tools that Aloy will have at her disposal. Movement has been an area that Guerrilla Games has really focused on trying to improve. The enemies have different movement styles, and Aloy will also have different tools as well. Climbing in the game is much more free and open. The game's lead systems designer, David McMullen, said this: Aloy can climb freely on and across huge sections of rocky terrain. Even more machine types can be used as mounts. Grapple points can be found throughout the environment, which allows agile vertical transversal. So in Forbidden West, there will be significantly more grapple points throughout the world. Players will be able to use their focus to highlight these free climbing points in the world. And while this serves as a guide, there's supposed to be also more points that you can climb that aren't highlighted on your focus. McMullen later continued saying, "The free climbing system in Horizon Forbidden West is a huge feature we are extremely excited about, as it has allowed us to make large sections of the terrain climbable, where it makes sense visually and narratively, in a way not previously possible in Horizon Zero Dawn. Rocky surfaces in these areas are freely climbable without the use of tribal handholds." The game will also feature something called a polecaster. The polecaster helps to speed up climbing, helping Aloy get quickly out of trouble. You're able to pull yourself to a location. You can also swing using the polecaster, pull objects, and attack enemies. And if you get to an area that is too high to really climb down, you can use what is called the shield wing. The shield wing will allow Aloy to glide through the air after jumping from heights. McMullen further added, quote, "The shield wing was always a team favorite. It provides not only the most exhilarating way to return from an epic climb, but also the most picturesque. This tool is invaluable with having so much more verticality, where backtracking down the same trail holds less of an appeal as on the way up." Aloy will be able to pole cast out of a shield wing glide, and according to IGN, Aloy will acquire the shield wing early into the game. And with the increased focus on underwater exploration, Aloy will also have a diving mask, which helps to unlock this underwater world for exploration. And as we mentioned before, they will be enemies that you mostly encounter under the water. One example of these enemies is the Snapmaw from the previous game, which resembles a large crocodile. You can use the vegetation in the water to hide from enemies, and it's said that the underwater environment is supposed to be very detailed and full of life, and we expect to find a lot of different treasures and gems down there as well. And another feature of the game that players are excited about is the board game called Strike, also known as Machine Strike. This is a board game that is played by the inhabitants of Horizon. It's a two-person game played with both wooden and metal pieces that look like different machines, and you will play against different NPCs in the game. As you unlock more machines, you'll be able to increase the amount of machines you have to choose from when playing. These types of in-game board games or card games is something we've seen before in other games, such as Gwent from Witcher 3. However, we don't know too much about this game, so we'll have to wait to find out more when the game releases. So now let's talk about some of the PS5 improvements coming to Horizon Forbidden West. First off, anyone who buys the game on PS4 will also be eligible for a free PS5 upgrade as well. This was a change that was made after Sony received some backlash from their initial plan, which was that PS4 players looking to upgrade would have to pay an additional $10 to do so. So apparently one way to save some money is to purchase the game initially on PS4 and then upgrade for free on PS5, saving yourself $10 in the long run. Compared to the PS4 version, the PS5 version will have improved visual fidelity, including improved cinematic lighting and extra details. PS5 owners will also be able to take advantage of the DualSense's adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. And according to the game's director, Matthias de Jong, quote, "With the PS5's SSD, there will be virtually no loading screens. In an open world game like Horizon Forbidden West, if you open the map and fast travel from one end to the other, or restart from a checkpoint, it will be super fast. When you boot up the game, you're right there in the action." So this is what we know about Horizon Forbidden West. While this may not be every small detail that we know, I hope you gain some good insight into what the game has to offer, because I know I am very excited to play it. If you enjoyed the first game like I did, then I'm sure that Forbidden West will be one that you won't want to miss. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. I'm looking to continue doing similar videos like this in the future, as well as playing through Forbidden West here on the channel. Thanks for watching, and thank you all for the insane recent support on the channel. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.